Vizcaya, just a few steps from the main estate in our secret garden, I call it. Surrounded by this fantastic foliage, an edible garden next to me, and this fantastic group of people, creatives all around me. Today's theme is change, but before I start talking about what it means to me, I wanted to hear what you wrote on your name tag. What has changed?
I wrote urgent.
Urgent.
I wrote inevitable. Accepting the challenge to grow.
Excellent.
Change is growth.
Change is growth, definitely. And that's actually my message, is that for me, change is the key to my future. It always has been. I was thinking about whenever Malik asked me why people would feel differently about change, what the different emotions change sparks in us. And one thing I thought of was that change sparks a concern or fear when we're not in charge of it. What happened when you were a kid that you weren't in charge of that turned your life upside down?
My life was uprooted because I left my family and I didn't know anyone here. I was only 10 years old.
So he was not in charge. But fast forward to in your 20s when you are in charge, what change did you make for your life that made a big difference for you?
I left Miami for school.
Anyone else? Let's see. One more.
I dropped out of a typical college to pursue my acting.
Super. So that felt good. For me, change is about the future. That's how I make my future. And that's by considering change a creative opportunity no matter how it comes. And I'll tell you why. I grew up in a small town in West Texas. Could not wait to get out of there because I never fit in. When I went away to school, I did something different. I went to a state school because that's all my family could afford. But I created my own study abroad program in my sophomore year. I went away to France, lived on $100 a month, learned how to speak French fluently, and hitchhiked across Europe. My parents don't know about that hitchhiking part. A few years later, you might not be surprised, I joined the Peace Corps. And I became a teacher of English as a foreign language and French literacy in villages. I rode a moped out into the darkness at night to teach farmers how to write their names. Talk about life-changing. I'll never be the same, and thank God for that. When I got back to the U.S., I started working in civil rights and equal employment opportunity. I met my husband in an elevator. We got married in the living room. We moved to Maine, started a bed and breakfast. He taught me how to sail. Suddenly, I'm a boat person. I am making pancakes on a camp stove for 2 children and a handsome bearded husband. We're in the Bahamas on our 28-foot sailboat where we lived for a year. I boat schooled my son. We made our own books. We grew butterflies. We took sun showers. And when we got back to land, I could not wait to go back to school myself. So I did. I went to get an MFA in contemporary art, and I started making experimental books and writing about art and travel for publication. You may wonder, what about that marriage? Well, it ended because we both had changed. I was suddenly a single parent with 2 teenagers, fabulous teenagers, I might add. I bought my first house. I drove a gold convertible the size of a small boat, so I was still on a boat, and I decided I did not need a real job, even though as a single parent. A bit risky, yes. And I was so full of work all the time, curating, writing, and teaching. And then something happened after I was lucky enough to be a luxury travel writer and get my way paid to Istanbul, China, Cape Town, Victoria Falls, Paris, London, everywhere paid. Then the dot-com bubble burst. All my clients disappeared. So I played it safe. I was invited to direct a contemporary art gallery at a university. But that was a perfect place in Atlanta to be a change agent. I curated all kinds of exciting shows like Potentially Harmful, The Art of American Censorship, Losing Yourself in the 21st Century, Strange Planet. Those were great. And then I took another risk. I accepted an opportunity to direct a contemporary art center in Baltimore. So I moved. I left everything behind, rented a cool flat, bought a new car. I was moving up. Things started to unravel about a year and a half later. And on January 4th, 2011, a Happy New Year, my position was eliminated. I had no job title. I lost my identity. I forgot what it felt like to make your own way. I was homeless. I was lost. I fell apart physically, back spasms, couldn't eat, couldn't think, cry. 10 months later, I'm the picture of positive change that you saw on the screen, wearing a red dress, theme, on a park bench in Brooklyn with my laptop, my only belonging. That was the day I launched art radio for the 21st century, Fresh Art International. And I've been producing podcasts this podcast, Fresh Talk, ever since. I produced over 100 podcast episodes. I have over 10,000 followers on social media and growing. And my children are grown up and beautiful. I live on Miami Beach, start every day with yoga, as you noticed, and make vegan feasts for friends. I have fabulous boyfriend who's a classical musician, and I live the life that fuses everything that I ever thought I would want to do. So what I say to you is that every change can be a creative opportunity, and I'm a witness by doing it myself. So I hope you'll join me, if you haven't already in your life, to think about the potential of change to affect all your possible futures. Thank you.